Morning, Year 3. As you can see, I'm teaching a lesson from school today. Hopefully, you can see the board reasonably well. I know there might be a slight little glare from the lights. Today, we're going to be writing in the third person, carrying on from our lesson last time when we were writing in the first person, which we will recap in a second. First of all, though, on the top of your sheet, there are two sentences. They have some mistakes in it, so I'd like you to try and correct these sentences. Let me just read them both to you. He found some shells in the sea, and in the garden there were two cats fighting. If you think you can have a go at correcting those sentences now, pause the video and see if you can improve those sentences. However, if you need some extra help, let me just give you a couple of hints. I'm going to underline some of the mistakes. There are 3 mistakes in that first sentence, so see if you can correct it. And in the second sentence, in the garden, there were 2 cats fighting. There are 2 mistakes in that sentence, a little bit trickier to spot. See if you can correct those 2 sentences. Pause the video now and see if you can correct those 2 sentences on your sheet. So last lesson, we were talking about writing in the first person, using words like I, me, we, my, when you're talking about yourself. I've got a sentence on the board here. He wanted to go to the park. Could you change that sentence so you're writing in the first person? At the minute, it says he wanted to go to the park. How would you change that sentence so that you'd be writing in the first person about yourself? Pause the video and have a go, and I'll add the answer to the board. Well done if you corrected that, Year 3. The word you had to change was he to I. So now it says I wanted to go to the park. Well done if you got that correct. Today, we're going to be talking about writing in the third person. When you're writing in the third person, you'll do this lots anyway when you're writing stories, when you're talking about characters. You'll be using words like he, she, and they. So when you're writing in the first person, you're talking about yourself. When you're writing in the third person, you're talking about somebody else. I have 2 sentences here written in the first person. I want you to correct them so they're, or not correct, but change them so they're written in the third person. I fell in the playground. How would we change that? So you're writing about somebody else in the third person. Maybe pause the video, see if you can correct that, or we can just do it on the board together. So instead of I fell in the playground, it might say he or she fell in the playground. Then we're talking about somebody else. A bit of a tricky one here as well. We had fun at the party. Again, I'm talking about myself and other people. We had fun at the party. How would we change that? So I'm talking about a group of other people. Instead of we had fun at the party, very well done if you instead they had fun at the party. So that's writing in the third person, writing about somebody else. So our task for today, you have this worksheet. We've already corrected the 2 sentences at the top. And then there are a few sentences that you're either changing from the first person to the third person or the third person to the first person. If it says I, you'll be changing it to he or she. If it says he or she or they, you'll be changing it to I or me or we. If you do that, that may not take everybody that long. I then want you to write a diary entry. I'm sure lots of you have read the books before, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, where Greg Heffley is writing in his diary and he's writing about himself. And I know you've written postcards before in humanities. This is similar, you're writing about yourself. I've written a short one onto the board to give you some ideas. Wednesday, the 12th of March, I'm starting with the date at the top. I had a really bad day today. I fell over on the playground and my suit got all wet. After lunch, I dropped my books on the floor too, and it took me ages to pick them up. I don't like Wednesdays. So I've written a short diary entry about my day at school. And that's what you will do. You can make it up, you can choose a day, but you're going to write it in the first person as if you're writing about yourself. You may even be able to add some pictures so it looks very similar to an extract from Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. So have some very nice illustrations as well. Thank you for watching Year 3, and please do come on to Google Meet if you have any questions.